Hoosiers helping Hoosiers across central Indiana. These are our friends and neighbors on 95.5 WFMS.
Welcome back to another segment of our Friends and Neighbors program, and I'm excited to introduce these two as my next guests because they're actually my cousins, Kyle and Karen Johnson. Thanks for joining us, guys. Now, this isn't like old family week. We're just having cousins on. There's a specific reason why I want you guys on. Is because you are making a unique difference in the world. I was privileged to see just a piece of what you guys do, but you're part of an organization called onamissioninc.org. And explain to us, Hoosiers in Indiana who love basketball and football, what you're doing, what this mission's all about.
Well, we started a few years ago on a mission trip to Spain. It's in the mountains, the southern end of the Pyrenees Mountains in northeast Spain in the Catalonia area near Barcelona. And they run American sports camps and other things, but we are involved in the American sports camps. Specifically, I coach football, our football.
Yes.
They don't really want to hear a lot from Americans in their football because, well, they're better than we are, but they love having Americans come, and it serves a dual purpose for those kids, and where they get to learn English and learn football from American coaches. Is quite a draw. There are other sports. There's cheerleading and volleyball, but this camp is one of the few dedicated Christian camps in all of Spain. So it's kind of it's a unique opportunity, and it's a really cool place.
And this is real, like, tackle football. This isn't flag football or touch football.
Yeah, it's the real thing.
So an opportunity for these kids to actually wear the pads and the helmet, and they must be excited about that. What's their skill like when you first get over there? Do they know anything about American football?
No. Yeah, it's just like anything else that if you don't have the exposure from the time that you're, my son Sam he played kindergarten and full pads in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So first grade, I guess he was. So, and most kids have played tackle football here, at least in Indiana, by third grade is kind of the benchmark for when people start. So for these guys, it's literally foreign to them.
Yeah, big learning curve. Now, the reason you do this, one is you're introducing a sport to these kids, but there's a major underlining mission, a part of this, and that is to share the gospel with these kids.
Yeah, that's what it's the whole camp is. It's like a undercover or covert Christian camp. It's not. It's I don't know if it's necessarily illegal anymore in Spain. It certainly isn't. It's kind of frowned upon just to share the gospel a lot of times. So
I will add this, that at the camp they are not allowed to hand out Bibles.
Oh, really?
But at this past year, what they can do is they can set the Bibles out and they can tell the kids they're there and they can pick them up if they want to. They ended up giving away over 40 Bibles. But unfortunately, the government does not allow them to hand them out to them. The kids pick them up if they would like them.
Wow.
So yeah, that goes back the history of that, and maybe if we're on for a whole hour, I could talk some more about that. But the official stance on religion was atheism.
Mm-hmm.
It's still taught in the schools, and it's just kind of what they're culturally Catholic, but that's it. They have the holidays, but that is about it.
So how do a couple from Indiana, a football coach and someone in the medical profession, how do you find your way to Spain doing this ministry? What was the initial introduction to this organization for you guys?
Well, interestingly enough, when we met each other 30 years ago, we met on a mission field. So we were both raised with mission in our blood and started our relationship on a mission field. And so missions is always something we've been interested in. We took the kids to Mexico 11 years ago to build houses in Mexico. So we've both been on many, many mission trips. So that's just been in our blood. But then I'll let Kyle talk about how he met Dave and Cindy, who are the missionaries in Spain.
Yeah, Dave and Cindy Bentz I think they're originally from the East Coast, near where Karen's from, actually. I think he coached against her brother at some point in time in small Christian schools out there. But they were nearing retirement and decided they had the call to go to the mission field. And they've been in Spain for over 10 years full time, and they are starting to scale back from that a little bit now. But how it happened was when Dave was here raising support, and Dave and Cindy both raising support and doing other things, he was traveling through Indiana, and I was coaching at a Christian school at the time, and he decided that he would email pretty much every Christian school football coach that he could find in wherever he was going, and just so happened to be Indiana. And out of the hundreds that he emailed, I'm one who responded back to him, and we kind of built the relationship. And it took a few years for us actually to get there. It's hard just to reschedule everything, especially when your kids are young. But we were able to do that during COVID, which was a really the year after COVID, which is a really interesting story that Karen loves to share. But so that's how they found out about it. And like Karen said, missions is something that's important to us. She's able to use her medical skills and every other skill that she has, is just being an incredibly hard worker. And so she's able. She plugs a lot of gaps that in the whole ministry when we're there. Because when we were there, there's just from the campers, the kid campers in our camp, there's over 100 kids.
Oh my!
So and then other camps are coming and going. So it's a bustling activity, and it's a pretty I wouldn't say a well-oiled machine, but there's a lot going on, and it requires a lot of work.
So how many trips have you made?
We've been to 3 summer trips, and I've been to one in the spring. They were in a spring clinic, and I was able to go to that last year. So 4 for me, 3 for Karen.
The spring clinic advertises for the camp, so they go around to different local programs, the volleyball programs and the football programs, and advertise the camp for the summer and play some what they call goodwill games with teams from the United States.
Do you ever take former players or coaches with you, or is this kind of self-contained ministry?
Well, yeah, actually, I did take one former player. He also happened to be my son, so I took Jake, our oldest son, and it kind of changed his life. He's made a career change because he realized this whole coaching thing was pretty cool, and he's good at it. So he's become a teacher and a coach now from it. But yeah, so
and one of your former coaches.
Yeah, and a former coach also. So there's a lot of inviting goes on. But like I said, I think it took us, a couple who really wanted to go. It took us probably 3 years to finally make it happen. And now we've made it kind of a part of our routine, so it's easier for us to put it in.
4th of July.
So let's do the big ask here. Someone listening right now, maybe they played football, maybe they're a coach, and they love the idea of this ministry. They would like to be involved, but they can't because of schedules, travel with you. How could they be involved financially with your organization? Is there a website we can direct people to that they can support your ministry, for one, and then number 2, maybe learn more about in the future, maybe making a trip with you on one of your upcoming camps?
Well, our contact information is on our website, and it's onamissioninc.org or .com, either one. It'll take you there, and the email is linked to that. Karen's pulling that up right now. It's actually on a mission Inc. 23 at gmail.com, on a mission Inc. Gmail at 23@gmail.com.
And we'll have all these links here available for you. They're on the podcast too, so folks can find that then too. So they can. There's a way they can support you financially, your ministry financially. Learn more about the organization.
Right, and we're 501c3. That's a new development this year, kind of a big one that we were able to do. So all donations are tax deductible. We actually we have 3 things that we are trying to raise money for in the when we did our auction, and it was pretty successful for our second year, and we hope for more of that. But Karen's involved in a medical portion of a ministry in Africa that she could probably talk about here in a little bit. And
love to hear it.
We were able to pay for a hernia surgery for a little guy, so that was a big one. Also, a missionary couple that we've met through going to the Larkata camp. Their car just died on them, and we were able to give them a big give toward that, again from that auction. But the biggest one, the big dollar one, is the actual American football field. There has never been a field built just for American football in the entire country of Spain, to our knowledge. They've all been retrofitted to be from a soccer field. So they have the space at the Larkata camp. They have a lot of space. They actually have a good water source. They're in the mountains, so that's not a problem to be able to water a field. But getting the grass down and the pump up, and another thing they have a problem with is wild boars. So they have to put some pretty serious fence around it, or the wild boars will just destroy it in the off season. So that's how we are really trying to help them raise money, and they're working toward it on their end. We're not the only ones that are responsible for it, but we're trying to really chip away at it through this group.
Well, that's a good way for folks to get involved there. Karen, touch a little bit on the medical side, how you're involved, and how people listening can be involved in that as well.
So the other mission is kenyagather.org, and it was started in 2018 by a college friend of mine. We reconnected on Facebook. She had started the sewing ministry in the remote parts of Kenya, and our daughter at the time was into sewing, and I inquired about it, and I said, hey, maybe we could join you on a trip in a few years. And 6 months later, we joined her in Kenya for this trip. So Kyle's been once, but my daughter Kate and I have been 3 times. And we go and just help her with whatever needs she has. And so we are a plane flight and a 4-hour drive outside of Kenya.
Wow.
In a very remote region called Turkwell, where she has started a school. And then she's also started a school in Ciala, which is off of Lake Victoria. But when I go in on these trips, my medical brain doesn't shut off. And I see the dire need of just medical needs that they have. Both of these villages have empty clinics, so they have a medical facility, but they have pretty much nothing there. They don't have a lot of supplies. They can test you for HIV, malaria, and pregnancy are about the only 3 things they can do. So there's a lot of need when it comes to medicine there. So when we were there the last time this past spring, we sat down and we talked to the women about some of the needs. And so I just decided that we needed to start raising money to help with some of these needs, because they're very basic, and compared to the cost in the U.S., the cost is really not a lot. So this little boy that needs a hernia surgery, it was $2,500, but it requires a 2-hour drive. These people don't own cars.
No.
Most of them have an 8th grade education, because it's a society that still looks down on women, which is why my friend started this sewing ministry. It empowers women to have a job and be able to earn some income, because they don't. A lot of these women are also in polygamous marriages. One student in particular ran to the school because she was being forced into a polygamous marriage at the age of 15. And she had the wherewithal to say, that's not what I want for my life. And the family tried and tried and tried to get her back, but we were able to rescue her out of that situation. And now she's learning to sew, and so she can actually have a career and a way to make some income. And isn't married at age 16 now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just a lot of need within that community, and so whatever we can do through the funds we raise, we'd like to help out that ministry as well.
And there's things here in the U.S. that kids are taken care of here in the States, and it's something that's just routine.
Yeah.
But they're in, the middle of nowhere. When we go to Nairobi, it's a fairly westernized city. It's we had Pizza Hut when we were there.
Wow.
But you get out a 4-hour or an hour plane flight and a 4-hour drive, and there is nothing. So it's quite a shock.
We actually were able to actually complete a medical 2 medical conditions there before we actually started the ministry, which is really a cool God story as well. When I was out there, our very first trip, we went to an even more remote part of the village and met this little girl. Actually, I happened to see this little girl that she had a cleft lip. And when you looked in her mouth, you could see all the way through to her head because she did not have a palate. And I obviously was very concerned. And so we know that in Africa, they have lots of cleft lip palate repairs. Like, you can get it done for free. But these people are in a very remote region. Her mother was about 60 years old, and she didn't even own a pair of shoes. That's how poor this woman was. So imagine at 60 years old trying to get your 7-year-old 3 hours away to a
Can't
free
be done.
clinic.
Yeah.
So it obviously not something she had even thought was possible to repair her daughter's palate. For whatever reason, they had fixed the outside. They had fixed her cleft lip, but they had not fixed the palate. So through the help of our church at the time, we were able to raise the funds and get the daughter to a clinic that would fix her palate. When they went to go pick up the daughter to take her to the surgery, they found the mom with a severely infected foot. She had obviously stepped on something. Her foot had gotten infected, but as I said, she didn't even own a pair of shoes, let alone the ability to get to the clinic to get it treated. So they took both mother and daughter to the clinic. They ended up doing surgery on the mother first, cleaning out her foot, probably saving her life because that would have traveled up her bloodstream and killed her.
Wow.
So saving the mom's life and then taking the daughter into surgery and fixing her cleft palate. And through that, I'm told the mother was saved through that clinic. So she came to know the Lord because of that trip to the clinic.
So people can make a donation through both missions, through the one website on Mission Inc. .org. They can help with the sports camps or with the medical missionary camp or trips. Is that correct?
Right. And we receive checks and they'll say, hey, we'd like this to go to the field, and then we get it to the right place. So we just direct that. And
direct.
Say,
yeah.
We're 501c3, so we are first of all tax deductible, but also we're under the government to do the right thing.
To do the right thing. Well,
places.
yeah, and I don't think there's any issue in that respect. Kyle and Karen, I would think you're probably one of the few, if not only, I guess I would call this a missionary website that deals in football and medical issues that are totally unrelated to each other, that someone can help out. I think that's an interesting opportunity for our listeners to be a part of. A chance to introduce the world of American football to a bunch of Spaniards who like soccer. And then, as Karen, you just mentioned so greatly, really make a difference in save someone's life for a procedure that here in the States would be pretty minor, but over there that's pretty major.
Exactly. Yes. And interestingly enough, our first trip to Spain for football was the middle of COVID. And so I did some COVID care while I was in Spain the first year. So God finds a way to mix the two, our two interests.
Absolutely. Kyle, you mentioned a football field. So do we know even what it would cost to build a football field? Are we talking a turf field with lights and stadium, or are we just talking a field they can play football on?
Well, they are somewhat close, they think, to being able to put down some grass and help it grow, and possibly even be able to use it in the summer. They tried to use it a couple years ago, but it was literally a dirt patch, and the kids wanted to come
those
back.
Wild boars might be part of the problem too.
Exactly. So God's doing some pretty cool things. That they're the little country of Andorra. We actually just had the directors of the camp at our house a couple weeks ago, and she was telling us that there's a field in Andorra that's a turf field, and the people have decided that we don't want turf anymore. We want to put our grass back in. So there's a chance that that could be something that is brought down from Andorra to.
How cool would that be? Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. But again, the costs that Karen, you remember the cost? What?
So the cost we were given was $250,000. Now that was pre-COVID or in the midst of COVID, and we all know costs have gone up. So, however much money we have, somewhat determines what they can do. Whether it's turf or grass or stands or fences. But the $250,000 was what we were quoted.
And there's another one of the guys that has been bringing his team for years. They are the Dracs, the Badlondia Dracs, which is a suburb of Barcelona. Mm-hmm. And Catalonia is a region. It would almost be like if you were to say the northeast of the United States or the southeast. It's a portion of Spain, but it's very. A lot of them see themselves their own country. There's a lot of pride in that region. So I tell you that to say this, that the Catalonian national coach was there, and he said, I would love to make this like a place where this could be the home of Catalonian football.
Wow.
And there would be, and he has the vision of stands and lights and tournaments and all kinds of things. So there could be other people that are partnering with us that aren't even a part of the camp. This guy isn't necessarily a Christian. In fact, I think he's kind of made that clear, but he loves having his kids come to camp for the morals that they are being taught.
Sure, yeah.
He doesn't really, I don't think he realizes that what that means, but that there's a reason that those morals are taught, and that there's something bigger behind that. But
he said there's two competing teams, the Dracs and the
Reds, I think, are the other one.
So the Dracs and the Reds are two rival teams, and he says since the kids started coming to camp, it has helped build a relationship between the two teams. They used to be at each other's throats, and now when they play together at the camp, they have improved relations within the teams.
Yeah, so those two teams are like the Yankees and Dodgers of Catalonian football, and there are numerous other teams, but those are the big dogs in the country. I think there's like 12 teams in the entire region of Catalonia.
So just to recap, as we wrap things up here, there's a couple of ways folks can get involved. One, just through financial support to either one of the ministries. Two, I would assume if they want to maybe make a trip as a football coach or a former player, or Karen, in your case, maybe someone in the medical field would like to be a part of it. You don't have to be in the medical field.
Anyone can come to Kenya.
Anybody can come.
Anyone can come. Actually, one of my coworkers, one of the guys at the facility where I work, it says he's getting his passport and he's going to come.
Well,
so anybody is welcome to come.
There you go. The first step to doing all of that, either supporting financially or learning about how you can be involved, is I assume just simply going to the website onamissioninc.org and noodle around there, find some information. We'll post your emails on there. Email Karen or Kyle and just say, hey, I heard this. I kind of want more information about this. This might be something that I might be able to participate in. And if someone really wants to have a football field named after them, I'm sure Kyle and Karen can help make that arrangement. If you want to make a $300,000 donation, can we maybe name the field after them?
We will name the field. So actually the basketball court is the Suns basketball court because the Suns donated the money for the funds.
The Phoenix Suns years ago.
Oh, we need to let Jim Irsay know that.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Kraft bought a field in Israel. So, I mean,
there we go.
I don't know.
The precedent has been set.
Wants to have Robert Kraft beat him out.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does. Well, Kyle and Karen, thank you so much for a couple things. One, spending some time with us. Two, thank you for your ministry and what you guys are so willing to do. And folks, they're not professional missionaries. Can you say that's not right? You don't say professional. Anyway, that's not your profession. Kyle is a football coach and a school teacher, and Karen is a physician's assistant. Is that correct? Am I titling that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah. So that is what they do for a living. That's how they earn their paychecks. But they choose to spend their paychecks in a pretty unique way, and they're giving us an opportunity to do the same thing. I'm assuming there's other opportunities and fundraisers maybe coming up that people can be a part of too if they just want to support your ministry.
Our organization is just the two of us and whoever we get to help us out.
No. Whoever Karen gets you to help out. Karen is she's the muscle behind this.
You are correct. So, right now, I'll let Karen talk about the auction in a second, but right now that's all we're doing.
Okay.
Full-time jobs and kids in school and everything else. We hope to grow it, but we're going to let God do it. And, if anybody has great ideas and they'd like to be a part of it,
send an email.
They're hired.
Yeah.
They're hired. Their pay is exactly the same as ours, 0. So we'd love to have any kind of help and ideas. And even if you think it might be a crazy idea, we're open to anything.
Yeah.
So the auction will be November 2nd, 2024 at McAllister Machinery in Indianapolis. So that's the one event we do hold at this point.
At this point, stay tuned. Let me give the website once again. It's onamissioninc.org. I can't speak high enough about Karen and Kyle. Good people. And again, not only because they're my cousin. Actually, Kyle's my cousin, but I claim Karen too. And just really admire what you guys have chosen to do. And we want to help out any way we can. onamissioninc.org. Look for the information on our Friends and Neighbors page. We'll have a link there of how you can just click on it and also how you can email Kyle or Karen with more questions. And hopefully they can answer those and you can support their ministry. Guys, thanks so much for spending time with us.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Get in touch and tell us about your charitable organization or upcoming event at WFMS.com.
This has been a Friends and Neighbors community show. Thanks for listening.